So, Phil, why do you think you're attracted to this area of the country?
To New England?
Yeah. So it seems like to be such a part of your personality and it's in your soul, it's in your blood.
It's definitely in my accent.
All right, I'm in Penn Station and I'm jumping on my Amtrak to Providence, Rhode Island. Let's do this. All right, Phil. Well, thanks for having me, inviting me in from New York City.
Oh, it was a pleasure having you. We've been wanting to meet up for a couple of years now, even before this, so it's nice to finally have you out here and hang out.
Getting away from the city.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you come up again, and we won't be working and doing all this. We can just really kick back and relax.
I work for cheap.
I do too.
We'll get that on that. Rocking the baby. The machine. The man meets the machine.
That's how I say so trim.
All right, so we're pouring the ceiling paint. So what's our goal here today, Phil?
Our goal is to freshen up the ceiling, make some nice clean cut lines, and we're going to be using some Fine Paints of Europe Universal Primer and Eurolux, which I've heard you've never used.
I've never used. I am so excited.
All right, so I don't like to clean my rollers out on site. I don't really like to clean rollers, period, but I like pretty white tubs. So I tend to wipe them out with the 5-in-1, and then I just chuck them in a bucket of water with Pretty Boy in it.
Yeah.
So these rollers have probably been soaking since January of this year, because I don't do much house painting anymore.
Yep.
But trusty old spinner.
All right, so Phil, you've pre-wetted the brush. What does that help? What do you think that helps achieve?
It kind of, the brush has been sitting for a while like this one. It kind of preconditions the bristles, gets them wet. And I've realized that it's kind of helps the paint from drying up in the heel and really making a mess.
You say, Phil, you're setting the canvas, right?
Yeah, I'm making a clean slate.
Yeah.
I want that white to completely cover this line, so that when I go to cut in our primer and our top coat of color, it's nice and crisp.
Love it.
So I'm getting rid of everybody else's mistakes and brightening up the ceiling.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years in this business?
5 years. It's a long way out. I try not to think that far, but I don't know. Maybe farming. Maybe still shooting chairs. Maybe I'll have a studio of my own where I'm producing some high quality work and maybe passing knowledge on. Maybe studio/school type situation. I have a lot of stuff that I want to share with the world. I had done some painting with my dad when I was a kid. He did it on the side to make ends meet. So we would go paint offices, and I'd spend the day helping him roll out walls and rummaging through people's drawers and just eating dry cereal and spending the day with my dad. Some point in 8th grade, my dad sat me down and he said, what high school do you want to go to? And I didn't know at the time, so I was like, what do you mean? And he said, well, if you go to this high school, you're going to go to college, and if you go to this high school, Diamond Vocational, you'll graduate and you'll just go to work. And I wasn't about to do another 4 years on top of the 12, because I'm not that type of guy. So I decided to go to vocational high school.
And where was that?
That's in Fall River, Massachusetts.
Okay, that's where you're originally from.
I'm from Fall River, yes. Home
Yeah.
of Home of the infamous Lizzie Borden, the axe murderer from the 1800s.
I remember being a little boy in the 70s growing up, and we couldn't watch that one. I think it was done with the girl from Bewitched.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember the girls in the playground playing double dutch and skipping rope, singing Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks.
When she realized what she'd done, she gave her father 41.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to work one section at a time, one end to the other.
Yeah.
That way I keep a nice wet edge.
Yeah.
And we don't have no flashing. If this was a big ceiling, I'd probably have a bigger roller and I'd be loading it up and I'd be going like a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But I want that wet edge to go the whole length of the ceiling, so when the light comes raking in, I didn't do half the ceiling and it started to dry.
Oh, I
rolled into
see.
it, and then you can see it. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
doing it this way is a little bit more hard work. Sometimes it's athletic event, depending on how big the ceiling is.
Opposed to cutting it in 4, right?
Yeah,
Like a lot of people
yeah.
cut the ceiling into 4.
Yeah, I was taught many moons ago not to do that.
All right, so Phil, as of August 2021, what are you up to paint-wise?
Paint-wise, I'm finishing custom made-to-order furniture for a company called O&G Studios. This is one of the pieces from my current gig. This is a chair from O&G Studios. I picked this up a couple of weeks ago. O&G had a sale, and I showed up to support my new company, and I ended up purchasing this chair. And this chair is really special to me. This is the chair where I feel like I really figured out the finish and the color after about 3 months of training and try to figure it out, trial by fire.
Let's talk a little bit about your philosophies here, your success on the discipline.
Yeah, I like a 7:30 start time, but I expect my crew or for myself when I'm alone, I get there about 7:15, and I'm usually in motion at 7:30 when my phone goes off, and then we'll burn through a couple hours, and I like to take a break at 10 o'clock for 15 minutes, get a little more fuel in the system, get some water, and then I go back at it hard again for till 12 o'clock. And I bring my lunch because it saves me a ton of money. And let's face it, when you're out driving around trying to get lunch, flats, accidents, all kinds of nonsense can happen. Yeah. So I tend to just sit down for a half hour at lunchtime, solid half hour, and then around 2 o'clock I'll take maybe a 5-minute break and just plan out the rest of the day. And then 3:45 I start to clean up. And no one's allowed to leave the site or sit in their car until 4 o'clock. It just so happens every once in a while you get out there early, and that's when the homeowner or the designer pulls up.
Yeah.
And
looks bad.
yeah, you kind of look like a jerk.
Yeah. So how's COVID affected your life?
I've been busy. I've been very fortunate. COVID's been interesting. I spent most of my career kind of beating myself up, thinking that I made a wrong decision with not going to college and getting that piece of paper. And for a long time, I didn't think highly of myself. Subhuman, almost caveman, working with my hands, getting dirty and breathing dust. And then COVID came in, and a lot of those people with those degrees and those pieces of paper ended up staying home. I'm in my prime between 10:15 and 12 o'clock. So
yeah.
if we're shooting a high gloss ceiling or a high gloss wall, or working with Vera metal, or brushing some oil, that's about the time that I like to try to knock that out. And that's an all day, every day thing. That is like peak time to do any of the extremely tedious stuff, because I'm so structured and regimented on site that's my time of day to hit grand slams.
So how long you been in this home?
I've been in this home for, I think we just clicked off 3 years.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Westport, Massachusetts.
Westport, Massachusetts. It's a coastal farm community. There's a lot of history here. A lot of old stone walls, a lot of fields. You got to imagine that this town fed a lot of the cities that abut it, you know, back in the day with all the textile mills and the fishing industry and everything else.
And Mr. Purdy Boy's in town. He's humoring me.
No, Brian. I've used Pretty Boy. I got a sample bottle you sent me a long time ago right there. A little goes a long way. I don't drink it up.
Yeah.
And I like to use only cold water. I don't like to use warm water because I feel like it
Fucks with the glue?
It messes with the glue and it gets the bristles warm and and I don't like to mash it and really beat it out. But I get that Pretty Boy worked in there and it kind of strips all that paint, and later on and tomorrow this brush, when we pick it up, it's not going to be crispy, you know. The bucket bath of a Pretty Boy that I use.
Oh, thanks for doing that. I'm paying this guy big bucks to use my product. Big bucks.
So,
all right.
5-in-1. Everybody always wonders what the half round is about. This is what it's about.
Going flush.
90 degrees to it, nice and slow. Roller frame on the edge. Get all that paint out. If I didn't get this paint out, it would end up at the bottom of my soaking bucket, and I don't want that.
Okay. You're keeping it level. You're not digging in at a 45 degree.
No, I'm not going like this. I'm squeegeeing it right off, and I'm gonna go the other direction just to get it all off.
After you've got the first round of the heavy stuff. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that you get. Now, how long? You know, what do you normally get 3 or 4 uses out of these rollers, or 5 or 6? What do you get? Hold on. They're all right.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, sometimes they just keep going and going. They just keep going and going.
That's great, because you're taking care of them through the, you know, and that shows the Purdy. That's good technique. It's not falling apart on you.
Yeah, no, Purdy, they don't fall apart in the water. I'll never try to be bigger than the trade. When I was down and out, the trade was there for me, and it's provided a safe haven and a life that I have now. And I'm never going to sell my soul or anything to try to be bigger or more famous or better than the trade. I'm always going to keep that out in front of me and stay below it.